Hey guys, Jeremy here with Simple Little Life. The knife we're gonna make today is going to be, I'm actually making two at once. It's gonna be a real small little, kind of an EDC knife. Very simple in its design. You can see the outline of it here. This is the knife that I called the Pocket Pal 2. Now this was the same design that I used a couple years ago to do my Making a Knife with Simple Hand Tools series. I think that was a 3-part video series. I'll put a link to that in the corner. That's the same knife. We're gonna make that knife, but we're gonna do it with power tools because that just seems like the logical thing to do. Now before we get to cutting that, I just asked the question in my Instagram stories, what types of knives would you guys like to see made? So if you have any ideas, suggestions, special requests, if there's a particular style knife that you want to see made, just let me know in the comments below. I'm gathering a big list of them and hopefully I can start kind of, maybe tailoring some content to exactly what you guys are looking for. I always prefer gloves with the portable bandsaws. Sometimes the steel gets hot. So with it cut out, the next step of the process, of course, is going to be in the belt grinder. We're going to finish profiling it. Essentially, we're just going to grind it all down to the lines that we'd scribed out, and then we'll drill our holes. Okay, that wasn't very safe. Alright, so we've got these blades profiled, drilled out. We're actually going to scrap one of the knives because it's going to be a lot easier to follow the build with just one knife. This one's going to have removable handle scales because I like them so much, and I'm thinking maybe carbon fiber. I ended up putting a lot of holes in this blade. Part of the reason for that is I want to really lighten it up, and especially for using carbon fiber, it should make for a fairly nice light package. So let's go ahead and we'll scribe the lines on this, the center grind line, and then we'll get grinding our bevels in. So we've got our marker on the edge of the blade. I've got my little marking tool. And that's our grind lines. I'd say we're about, I don't know, 15, 20 thousandths of an inch. That'll be preheat, and then we'll clean it up post-heat treat. But these give us two really nice lines that we can very, very distinctly see when we're grinding. Alright, so what I was grinding there was a 5 degrees grinding jig, 5-degree bevel. I'm just not crazy about it. I want the bevels to come up higher. This is more like a traditional bushcrafter, but I want something a little bit more, I don't know, tactical. I don't know why I think higher grinds are more tactical, but I do. So switched out to this grinding jig, just a simple old angle iron with a bolt. This part's tapped, and then a jam nut here. This works good. Well. Problem with this kind of jig on this small of a knife, it's hard to see what's happening. I'm not happy with that. Came up too high right here. Just looks goofy. See if we can fix it by hand. So what I'm doing now, I'm trying to match up these top lines here as grind line. You can see we came up really high, almost a full flat grind there. And I'm trying to bring this one to match it. So what I'm doing, let me turn this off. When I come up to the platen, what I'm doing is I'm actually hitting the platen and just kind of putting a little pressure this way, because I don't want to, I'm already at my thickness, my edge thickness, I don't want to grind that down. So I'm just hitting it like this and just lightly putting pressure this way, and that's just going to grow that up a little bit. So we'll keep doing that. Well, I think I managed to save those grinds. It was getting kind of hairy. You know that expression, knife makers don't make mistakes, they make smaller knives. It's kind of true, but it also kind of bugs me because I don't like that attitude that, oh, I don't make mistakes, I'm just gonna make something smaller. Because if your intent was to make a bigger knife and you end up with a smaller knife, that's a mistake. So good idea, good outlook, but I don't subscribe to that theory. I think, you know what, there's a mistake. This blade profile, this knife, for some reason, this gives me trouble. I've got 3 of these in a drawer over there that I even got to the point of putting handles on, and then I looked really closely at my bevels. I'm like, this thing sucks. And I'm not sure why. I mean, this looks like a very simple, very straightforward little knife, but I have so much trouble with this, and I guess it's kind of good to keep coming back to it. This is definitely probably the best one that I've done so far, and pre-heat treat, I think this is good enough. You see we've kind of evened out that top grind line there. They're not exactly the same yet, but they're pretty close. What I'm gonna do right now is I've marked out a little place here where I think the handle scales are gonna end. I'm going to stick my thumb right on there and mark out the spot where my thumb lands, and I'm gonna take a checkering file and we're gonna put some thumb jimping in there. Then we'll be ready to heat treat this sucker. All right, so just gonna grab this here. We're gonna say about, well, ultimately we just wanna avoid our scales. So we're gonna start the thumb jimping right there. It may come into here a little bit, but that's okay. I'm gonna put on my Bill Benke file guide. We'll clamp this on, and then I'll use the checkering file. I still get a lot of questions about the checkering file. The size that I use is a 00, which is the coarsest they make, which is 20 teeth per inch. So there's 20 of those little grooves per inch that will get cut in, and I really like that. I find that's a really good size for thumb jimping. I like to put a little chalk on my file just to help prevent it from loading. Now, beyond giving you a place to start your marks and keeping a consistent spot every time, the nice thing with using a file guide like this one here, they're really wide surface area to work on, so I can rest my file on there and it keeps it perfectly straight. You know, rather than running the risk of maybe going off at a slight angle like this or like this. Really handy when I'm starting especially. I'll just make sure that it's always flat against there, and it just helps keep those lines nice and straight and perpendicular, sorry, to the spine of the knife. Now, one thing that's important to remember is a lot of these checkering files will have a different number of teeth on one side to the other, and it has to do, they're just slightly staggered. They're still the same spacing, but I know for a fact that this side is the one I always use with the chalk on it. It has one less row of teeth than this side. I've made the mistake before is I'll just flip this over and start using this side, and all of a sudden I'll have, you know, a little shadow line, a little phantom line starting up there, and that's because this side has an extra row of teeth than this side. So just keep that in mind. I don't know if all checkering files are like that, but mine most certainly is. Now I'll finish up with really light strokes just to get a nice even finish in there. There we go, we're ready for a heat treat. So I actually came out here to fire up the forge to do the heat treat on those two little knives, and as soon as I got it going, I pulled this beast out. This is something I started, I don't know, a couple months ago. This is a piece of 1095, and I forged it into a kitchen knife shape. What I really wanted to do today was just forge in a distal taper, and I think it's pretty good. You do keep in mind, I am not a blacksmith. This is the first knife I've tried from an actual proper piece of knife steel. And started forging the bevels slightly. They're definitely thinner at the edge than at the spine, but I really just want to get that distal taper in and then get it straightened out. It's kind of hard to see, but it's pretty good and straight now. So I think I'm going to call that good for the forging. Next step will be to profile it out. So yeah, the next step is going to be to just kind of profile it a little bit. All in all, I'm pretty happy. I did end up getting the fish lips because I didn't really understand how to forge in the tips. I think I've got a handle on that now. So I'm just going to kind of cut it like that. But this is going to be a cool blade. This will be my kitchen knife. And hopefully once I kind of get this sorted out, then maybe I could start doing some videos, maybe do some forging of some knives and videos. But this is exciting. Although, I kind of got carried away with this and I haven't heat treated those knives yet. I forgot about that. So I'm going to fire up the forge. We'll get them in there, get them heat treated. We'll be good to go for tomorrow. Alright, so we've got those blades hardened now. I'm gonna throw them in the temper cycle. While that forge was going, I started messing around with the railroad spike because that forging is so much fun. Hopefully, in a little while, we'll be able to get to finishing this knife off. Maybe we'll do some videos about that. I really look forward to doing some more blacksmithing, forging type videos. But tomorrow, we'll go ahead and fit the handle scales on those knives, hopefully get them finished up. Who knows? Usually I say I'm gonna finish them up the next day and it takes at least one more video. But either way, I thank you guys so much for hanging out. I hope you had a good time. Maybe you learned something. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Also, I've got some playlists and other videos you might be interested in checking out. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.